Elton, a pleasure to see you. But they out there must judge if I speak the truth.
Well, put it this way, Bob, you know what happened to Pinocchio, don't you?
Oh, we'll work that one out, Elton.
And who's pulling your strings? Thanks, Bob. The French connection will kick off tonight, as you've already heard. The Liverpool connection very much in the news today. Kenny Dalglish has been active in the transfer market again, and Terry McDermott has joined Kevin Keegan at Newcastle. An unexpected appointment, well, you could say that. And Bob Paisley has resigned from the Anfield board due to ill health, but his 50-year association with the club isn't entirely at an end. He's been given a life vice presidency. Paisley, who's now 73, remains the most successful manager in the history of English football and arguably the club's greatest ever servant. Those are the words of Graham Souness. Well, obviously, football can be a very rewarding profession. It can also be very unpredictable and insecure. Take the case of Manchester City's Paul Lake, facing up to yet another Saturday afternoon on the sidelines, this time watching his brother, who's beginning to make headlines. Rob McCaffrey has the story.
It's 17 months since Paul Lake produced this typically powerful run against Aston Villa. 2 minutes later, he snapped a cruciate ligament. The captaincy of the club and his England hopes have been locked in plaster ever since.
It's like, it's a job, I can do that. You know, it's one of them, because I could do that, you know. They also chat to fans, and some are great, some are pretty ignorant as far as like what it's like being out's concerned, and make the comments, you know. And no matter how broad-shouldered you are, they still sort of stay in your mind, and you think, God, like I'll try and prove him wrong and show him. And that, in a way, spurs you on as well.
Tomorrow, Lake will watch City play Sheffield United, for whom brother Michael's suddenly the favourite flavour. 17 months ago, Michael's career looked to be over when he broke an ankle at Ipswich. You've just got to be philosophical.
I was playing at the time, and I just got called up for the World 32 when he broke his leg on a Saturday, like, and it was like I was up there, Mike was down there, and now the roles are reversed, and well, I'm not happy about the situation, but I'm pleased for Mike all the same.
Michael's effort against Southampton won the match goal of the day competition. He's now the inspiration for Paul to get fit again.
I mean, I watched him last night in the cup against Charlton. He actually crossed with his left foot. He hasn't got a left foot. He stands on that, that's it. And he crossed it in. I thought, what's going on?
It all looked to be so easy for Paul Lake. He hopes to be back at the start of next season now to show it's still easy. 17 months out of the game, he's fully aware just how precarious his profession is.
It must scare every player, because there's no guarantees in football. I mean, you know, players can be like in the England side 1 minute and next minute, you know, sat on the sidelines thinking, will they ever play again? And that includes every player, you know. And I would advise every player to look to the future, you know. Don't wear blinkers, because like I was the same. I was thinking, well, I'll be doing this. I'll perhaps go to Italy and get a few games in, you know. And stupid like that, you know, you do. Every player fantasises. And then all of a sudden, this happens, and wow, you put them to earth with a bang. And it's scary. It is. I mean, it's only a short career at the best of times. So what do you do? All you can do is work hard to sort of get back. And if not, a few question marks.
Yes, Paul Lake putting the whole world of professional football into perspective there. City really have got a tough one tomorrow at Sheffield United. And so too have Manchester United at home to Sheffield Wednesday. United's treble hopes went crashing during the week. Wednesday also took a nosedive at home to Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. So United having to contend with David Hirst, another striker valued at £3 million. It's a toss-up between Hirst and Southampton's Alan Shearer as to who represents best value for money, and perhaps United's. Liverpool at Coventry, Everton at home to Queen's Park Rangers, the First Division leaders at Oldham. The Second Division leaders Blackburn Rovers will have Chris Price available after his return to Ewood Park from Aston Villa. And Kenny Dalglish is about to sign the Norwich midfielder Tim Sherwood. On loan for a month, but the deal will probably become permanent and for £500,000. The Second Division fixtures, a rare Saturday afternoon of activity at Prenton Park, Tranmere Wolves. Well, here's the decisive goal from Preston's fine win at Huddersfield last week. Huddersfield amongst the Third Division leaders. Lee Cartwright keeping his cool and a little bit more breathing space for North End. Huddersfield go to Stockport tonight, 6 straight wins for County, League and Cup. 1 North West derby tomorrow, Bolton-Chester. On to the goal that stretched Burnley's lead to 2 points at the top of the fourth. Top scorer Mike Conroy equalising after Burnley had gone 2 down at Walsall. Crewe Carlisle tonight, 3 games tomorrow. Only Wrexham not involved in the promotion playoff scenario. Amazing when you consider.
Now in Granada, the old allies, Saint and Greavsie.
On today's show, we discuss the return of Kevin Keegan to St James's Park as manager of Newcastle. Can he stave off relegation? We meet the father and son partnership at Nottingham Forest on the eve of their live Rumbelows Cup semi-final with Spurs. We found out why Doncaster Rovers need a bit of magic from Paul Daniels in their fight for Football League survival. And Carol Lewis, the 100 metres world record holder, joins us from Glasgow. He runs there today in the Pearl Assurance Games.
Well,
good afternoon.
Good day, folks.
And you would obviously have a nice drive in today, Jim.
I had a terrible drive in, actually, Ian. It was very, very foggy. I couldn't see where I was going, so I'm quite used to that, obviously. But it's an idyllic spring morning.
There are no matches off today. This is what I was saying to you.
I think the fog must have lifted, so it certainly was foggy out our way, anyway.
Well, good for football.
But it always is in Essex. Do you want some Essex jokes?
No.
Have we got time for Essex jokes, anyone?
No. Right, well, the fifth round draw for the FA Cup sorted itself out into some kind of order this week. Just one tie still to be resolved. And the Rumbelows Cup was thrown up a semi-final just in time for the match tomorrow. Nottingham Forest meet Tottenham, a repeat of last year's FA Cup final in the first leg of their semi-final. It starts at 3:20 on ITV, and Forest made it after coming from behind in midweek against Crystal Palace.
McGoldrick forward to White again. He held off Walker well, and a good return ball for McGoldrick. In it goes to Bright. Yes! A superb goal by Crystal Palace. Kingsley Black in possession for Nottingham Forest. Now Clough whips it in towards Sheringham. Yes! It's the equaliser by Teddy Sheringham, who celebrates his immediate return to the side with a goal. Keane hits it splendidly, and now Pearce. It's 2-1 to Nottingham Forest. The captain has done it again. Sheringham with a nice ball onto Clough. He might have to go alone here. Support eventually arriving to his right. He tried the shot. Gets it back again. And Sheringham shot. Oh, it's a beauty by Teddy Sheringham. Problems for Steve Coppell's team. The problems at the other end for Forest. And White turns it in. It's a goal. Humphrey with an awkward sort of clearance. Keane is underneath it. Crosby nicked in. And has gone round the goalkeeper, who brought him down and gets a penalty. That could be the key moment of the game. It could be the hat-trick for Sheringham and a place in the semi-final, surely, for Nottingham Forest.
So, Forest through, and they'll be looking to a father and son partnership to help them to another Wembley appearance. And I don't mean the Cloughs, but the Gemmels, Archie and Scott, who this week gave the first ever television interview to our man, Gabriel Clark.
For the godfather at Nottingham Forest, football's always been a family game. Brian Clough had son Nigel alongside him right from the early days. And the young man's grown up to play a family-sized role in bringing more silverware back to the city ground. But another player with just the right pedigree is turning into a key figure in this season's hunt for trophies.
The first time cross to Sheringham and lifted towards Gemmell. It's a superb goal.
Scott Gemmell was only just out of nappies when Archie Gemmell helped Clough to win his last championship. 14 years on, it's Dad who looks on from the dugout at the latest recruit to the Forest Generation Game.
I used to play for a team called AC Hunters on a Sunday, which Mr. Clough's son Simon plays for. So he used to come and watch on a Sunday, and I think my dad just persuaded him to let me have a chance at being an apprentice at Nottingham Forest.
Since he was very young, when he used to play out in the street with a ball, and when he went to school, he always wanted to be a player. And as a father, you always hope that he can make it. And with a little bit of luck here and there, he's most certainly getting on the way.
But cynics will say a big slice of family fortune has come in handy, and that it's not how good he is, but who he is that's helped get Gemmell this far. It's not easy to feel at home, even in the first team, when you're following in your father's footsteps.
Were you worried at all at bringing him to Forest?
Well, I was worried in the respect that he might not make it, because I think there were people at the club, and even still people now in and around about, think he's a particularly lucky lad to be playing First Division. But he's taken his chance and he's getting on with it. But the person that's helped him possibly most of all at the club has been Nigel Clough. Nigel took him under his wing for a very early age, and he's helped him tremendously.
They'll have to handle it the same way as most people have to do, you know. I can't really comment too much on that, you know. Not having much experience of it.
Have you given him any tips? Because it is a different situation.
Yeah, no, you just got to try and keep your head down and maybe do even a little bit more than normal to prove yourself and hang on in the team.
And so far, Gemmell Jr.'s done a lot more than most people, even Dad, expected. Injury got him a first-team place in pre-season, and he's been a regular ever since in the heart of midfield. That was Archie's territory as well, but any family resemblance just about ends there. This definitely isn't a case of like father, like son.
I've never actually thought, well, I'm not going to be like him, it's just the way you are. I think Dad was totally aggressive in his play, and it's just not in me. I'll tackle when I have to tackle, I'll play it when I have to play. You just play your own game.
He's more I'm not going to say a ball player, but he's a little bit more educated in the game. I always crash, bang, wallop, get on with it. And, you know, he gets his head up and he looks and he sees things quite early and passes them as well.
Why do you think that is the case?
I have not got a clue.
You didn't teach him that, obviously, Archie.
No, I couldn't do it myself, so I couldn't pass it on to him.
But Tottenham B warns one thing does run in the family.
Gemmell could go all the way and he's out here. Yes! Beautiful goal, Archie Gemmell!
In the red of Forest or the blue of Scotland, Archie was a man for the big occasion. And in Forest's live games this season, Scott has been outstanding.
Is he a better player than you, Archie? Do you think at the comparative stage?
Don't be silly. No, hopefully one day.
What do you mean one day? He's a better player than Archie now. I mean, Archie's 92, he can't get around anymore, can he? But actually, I was watching Scott on Wednesday, as you know, and he's there on merit. He's a worthy choice. He's a good player, knocks it about well, and with young Nigel, and Nigel's some player.
And I think Nigel, it was nice of Nigel there to say that his advice to him was you've just got to try harder so that people can't say, well, you're only here because you're Dad.
That's right, and I mean, in both their cases, and we will couple them together, they're there on merit. There is no question about that. Both excellent players, and as I say, Cloughie the other night looked superb.
Well, how do you think the big one will go then on Sunday, Jim? Because Forest are leaking goals very badly.
Yeah, they are. I don't know what's happened. I think there's a little bit of a problem between Des Walker and Carl Tyler at the back, and they haven't sorted that out yet. But the way Forest play football, and they can come from all angles, as you know, with Stuart Pearce virtually marauding as an attacking player himself. Spurs really not doing too well at the moment, and I think over two legs, most of us, I think, would take Forest, wouldn't we?
But I also think that Spurs are playing so badly at home, they prefer to play away from home. Well, and I think they might look at Sunday as their chance really to stamp their authority in the game.
They might well do, Ian, but Forest are, as we know, they can play 5 minutes of football, which is unstoppable.
But it should be a cracker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good game, good game. Good game, good game.
Now, the big news in the football world this week was the return to St James's Park of Kevin Keegan. He's back after an absence of 8 years as manager to replace the sacked Aussie Ardiles. And Keegan faces the job of staving off relegation to the 3rd Division for the first time ever with precious few resources at his disposal. Well, joining us live from St James's Park now is the man who took the decision to bring Keegan in, the Newcastle chairman, Sir John Hall. Good afternoon, Sir John.
Good afternoon, Ian.
Sir John, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jim.
Just clear up something. To Aussie, a vote of confidence, and then a few days later, goodbye. And what happened there?
That was the most difficult decision I've ever taken in my life, because a few days ago, before that decision, I was out with Ozzy and his wife in a local restaurant with my family. And, you know, it was my vote. He had my vote of confidence, and but we ran out of time after the defeat on Saturday. And we're trying to put a financial package together here at St James's Park, which involves many millions of pounds. And when the confidence of the investors starts to go and they feel you're going to the 3rd Division, it was either the survival of the club.
So it was the investors that really said, look, Ozzy's got to go and we need... Kevin, I
Yeah,
assume.
you've got the confidence of the people who are involved in the rescue package started to go.
Yeah.
How much money, Sir John, have they said has gone into the club now? Because you've got a $5 million overdraft to be gathered. Kevin obviously will need to spend a few quid because you need one or two players. Well, so we're talking loads of money.
Well, basically, the club really needs, if you're going to put it right, about 10 to 12 million pounds. And that includes about a couple of £1 million to buy players. And on top of that, you've actually got to build the Leazes End behind us here to meet the Taylor report. And we've inherited a huge financial debt, and Ozzy inherited the team. And as I said, we ran out of time, but now we've got to put it right. And this is an attempt to stay in the second division. The whole plan hinges around staying in the second division.
Well, Kevin, of course, was such a charismatic character when he was there before. You're obviously hoping that what he did as a player will happen again as a manager.
That's right. We hope so, and I think it will. And today you see to the buzz in the place, and he's made a tremendous difference already.
Your priority, obviously, just this season is to stay out of the third, then.
Yeah, because the financial package doesn't work if we go into the third division.
What are Kevin's credentials, apart from, as we were watching there, you know, his rapport with the fans and the enthusiasm he will generate within the town? But really, he's an untried boy as far as management's concerned. So you're not sticking your head in this a little bit there?
His colleagues from Liverpool, you know, in a sense, went straight into soccer, and we think he'll do the same thing. We have tremendous confidence in him here. Everyone has a high regard for him, as they had for Ozzy, and that hasn't gone because Ozzy's left, but with tremendous regard for Kevin, and we think he'll do the trick and keep us in the second division, and we'll then tell the football world next season that we're coming up, because to the right place where we should be.
I see Terry McDermott has joined him as his right-hand man. Now, I was reading in the papers, and I don't know if this is true, that Terry's saying he's doing it for expenses. Now, the right-hand man of any football manager is a key position. But surely you've not got him up there just in expenses.
No. Kevin's just brought him in a sense to sort of be there for this next few weeks until he gets someone.
So it's not a permanent movement there?
No. I don't think so. It's what Kevin was saying, basically. Terry's here to sort of be there at his side, to sort of bounce ideas off over the next few weeks.
But nobody with due respect to both those lads, knows the second division.
No, all there, in a sense that that's probably so, but we couldn't, you know, we're in a very difficult situation, and it is a gamble, but I think we'll pull it off.
You've obviously got confidence in Kevin.
Yeah, we have.
Has Kevin got confidence in you? Because he hasn't signed a contract, has he?
We haven't had time, basically. You know, everything was done, basically, within 24 hours. And it's, you know, we've got to have confidence and trust in each other.
It strikes me, Sir John, as though it wasn't your decision to bring Kevin to Newcastle. You were happy with Ozzy.
Well, I think, basically, when you're putting a financial package together, you're not always your own master. But Kevin's here, and we've got to move forward and stay in the second division and build for next season, as we already had planned to do under Ozzy.
Well, what would happen if you went down then? Would Kevin still stay with you?
That's up to Kevin. You know, basically, he's here until the end of the season, and then we look beyond that. The main thing is survival at this moment in time. It's unthinkable for Newcastle United and Centenary to go into the third division.
Would Newcastle survive if you did go into the third division, Sir John?
That's a new ballpark, basically. We have very few assets, and we've got a debt of £6.5 million. So, you know, just think about it.
Well, we wish you all the best, Sir John, and thank you very much for joining us.
But stand aside next season, we're coming through.
OK, well, you're always welcome on this programme.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Gentlemen, cheerio.
Right, now to the Championship chase, which resumes this afternoon with Leeds at Oldham and Manchester United at home to Sheffield Wednesday. And Wednesday, by the way, are the only team to have handed United an away league defeat all season.
The ball into the middle lane for Hurst's head. Absolutely brilliant. Oh no, that's a dreadful mistake, and it's given an equaliser to Brian McClare. Hurst losing out to Parker, and it was a fair challenge. Oh, and here's McClare inside the area. Giggs teeing up Robson. Brian Robson can make it 2-1. He's still got a chance. Oh, and it's going into the net, is it? What an extraordinary mess. It's 2-1 to Manchester United, and have you ever seen a sloppier goal than that? Wednesday have three outfield players outside the penalty area. Here is one of them, Roland Nielsen, who whacks it back in. Must be a chance here. Jensen, 2-2. Alex, a corner. Can Wednesday get anything from this? Yes, they can! It's 3-2!
Well, they've only lost twice this year, United. That was one of them, the other Queen's Park Rangers. All of the railway terminuses. And here we go. Yes. And it's Crewe on the ball, and they go one up through Tony Naylor. Good goal after 5 minutes. They all stopped for the whistle, but the train went on, and then Carlisle came into the act, and Andy Watson made it 1-1.
Oh, good header and all.
It was a good header. Yep.
So that's the way it was at half-time.
At half-time, yeah.
Now, this boy Naylor looks not a bad player, does he?
No. Well,
Sharp little boy.
Actually, Carlisle didn't look a bad side last year, and they're about 9th this year, so they're going quite well.
Craig Hignett with a nice finish.
That's right. So
make it 2-1 that one.
The best of North West football now is brought by Granada Goals Extra.
Granada Goals Extra. Today's action from the Granada region, sponsored by Elf Petrels and Oils.
Brian McClare kicks off the Goals Extra headlines once again. His goal puts United on top tonight. But Oldham give them a helping hand, a sparkling 2-0 victory over Leeds United. 7 goals at Prenton Park as Tranmere just edge out Wolves. And Wrexham find a bit of FA Cup form. Wayne Phillips hits a cracker to earn a point against Blackpool. Good evening. The league leaders Leeds were in the neighbourhood at Oldham today. No one's scored more goals away than Howard Wilkinson's side, and no one's conceded more goals at home than Joe Royals. But Joe's tightened up the defence, and even Eric Cantona on a substitute couldn't reply to Paul Bernard and Andy Barlow as Leeds were knocked off top spot. Commentator Clive Tilsley.
18 minutes played. Rick Holden again, into the near post again. Marshall on, Jobson with a header, off the post and in by Bernard, and Oldham are in front. Richard Jobson picking out the left-hand upright of John Lukic, and Paul Bernard picking out the net. Henry just opened up for him there for a moment. Bernard has broken Dorigo's challenge, blocked by Hodge. Chance for Roger Palmer, good save by Lukic. Oh, it's a cracker, hit the post and came out with Lukic beaten. Rick Holden's left foot beat Lukic, all ends up. Henry's played sharp in here. Palmer just needed a little bit more on it. Oldham have something here on the break with Barlow and Palmer forward. Holden popping up on the left flank. Crossed in towards Andy Barlow, and that will settle it. That will seal Leeds United's second championship defeat of the season and give Oldham a richly deserved victory. Andy Barlow blasting in the second with just over 2 minutes remaining. 2-0.
Yes, great win for Oldham. Time for the others to capitalise, perhaps. Well, it was FA Cup disappointment for Manchester United and Sheffield Wednesday in the week, both switching their focus to championship matters at Old Trafford this afternoon. David Hurst keeping himself in the Old Trafford limelight with an opener, but Brian McClare's 20th of the season made it United 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Here's Alistair Mann.
Well, Sheffield Wednesday are being very deliberate about this free kick. I wonder what the training ground had in store for this one. David Hurst. Well, that's what it had in store. David Hurst. What a free kick that is. And Sheffield Wednesday have the lead. Webb forward, looking for McClare. Warhurst is in, but Hughes has broken it away, and here's McClare. And McClare has levelled matters. McClare on the score sheet once again. Kick from Schmeichel, particularly well dealt with by Warhurst, and Nielsen, what's he done? Here's Hughes! Good save by Chris Woods. Forward by Irwin, on by Robson, on by Hughes, it's opened up! Andrei Kanchelskis at the end, oh goodness me! A chance to win it goes begging.
Yes, indeed. United drawing, Leeds losing. What are the chasing pack? Well, Highfield Road, Coventry's been a profitable place for Liverpool in recent seasons. They've won there on their last 4 visits, scoring 14 goals in the process. Couldn't get one today, though. Disappointment for Graham Souness's side. It finished Coventry 0, Liverpool 0. Here's Martin Tyler.
Well, the wall doesn't look back the full 10 yards, but it's Peter Billing. That's what they were concerned about, and no wonder Grobbelaar was trying to get a wall set. Gallagher flings the way out here. Robson's got into the centre with Rosario. And Grobbelaar saves from Gallagher at full stretch. Marsh, real hurly-burly here. Saunders, and out of it all comes a chance perhaps for Liverpool. Oh, and nearly a goal for them, maybe yet. Brilliant save from Walters by Krizovic. Oh, it must be. Oh! It came all the way through. Well, it wouldn't quite come down for him. Houghton, no offside. Saunders. Dean Saunders for Liverpool. Krizovic has stopped it, and behind him was Lloyd McGrath.
And yet so far Liverpool couldn't get a goal. So what about Everton? Well, they couldn't get one either. It finished Everton 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0 at Goodison Park. Manchester City, they were away to the team of the moment, Sheffield United. It finished Sheffield United 4, Manchester City 2. Here's Peter Hutton.
An amazing start at Bramwell Lane, and particularly for one ardent City fan. Released as a player by the club, Mike Lake certainly got his own back. An 8th-minute goal that put the Yorkshire side in front, and 10 minutes later, it was 2-0. Centre-half, Brian Gale causing problems in a City 6-yard box, then adding insult to injury by back-heeling it in. But to City's credit, they came back and forced a penalty. Neil Poynton brought down by Dane Whitehouse. No problems there for the referee, and no problems either for Keith Curle. The City captain's 4th of the season, but there was still the problem of the awkward corners at the other end. This time, Brian Deane getting the final knee to the ball. United faithful already celebrating a 7th consecutive win. But just 2 minutes after the break, City had pulled it back to 3-2. The cross from the left from Neil Poynton, the powerful shot from Andy Hill. But any hopes of a fight back disappeared 8 minutes from time. Dean's flick on, and Dane Whitehouse's clinical finish. 4-2, City haven't won away in a league for 3 months now.
Now the dust has settled, the top of Division 1 shapes up like this. Manchester United back on top above Leeds after they got a point against Sheffield Wednesday. But Liverpool and Manchester City failing to make a significant impression. In Division 2, with more recent signings, Blackburn now have something like 40 full-time professionals on Jack Walker's payroll. Kenny Dalglish had to just pick a first 11 to play Grimsby today. He got it right too. 3 first-half goals from Chris Price on his return, Scott Sellers and Jason Wilcox. That despite 2 in reply. Grimsby 2, Blackburn 3. A couple of cracking matches elsewhere in Division 2 at Vale Park. Port Vale 1, Middlesbrough 2. Neil Aspin sent off in that match. Vale not 1 in 11 now. At Prenton Park, a game that threatened goals, gave us them. Tranmere 4, Wolves 3. Don't blink. Alistair Mann has the full story.
Well, after 3 minutes of this game, you felt it was going to be Tranmere's day. Paul Cook adjudged to have handled. There's certainly ball to hand, but how intentional. Then John Aldridge did what he always does. Shimmies and then converts. 1-0. Then, from a Wolves corner, John Aldridge then showed the value of keeping a man upfield. First he chased, won the sprint and waited for the cavalry. Running specialist Chris Malkin-Julie arrived, 2-0. That was after 6 minutes, but 2 minutes later, Paul Cook then bent a special into Nixon's goal, and Wolves were back in it. 2-2 moments later, who else but Steve Bull on hand while defenders simply watched. 55 minutes gone and Wolves 3-2 up. Mark Burke. But this topsy-turvy game was back at level terms at 3-3. John Morrissey using a defender to help it into the net. Nothing fluky about the celeb. And Hero Morrissey, with seconds remaining, bending it into the corner. 4-3 to Tranmere, and this time just the sliding knees celebration.
Did you catch all those? Great entertainment, wasn't it, at Prenton Park this afternoon? Well, Tranmere still have some way to go to make it onto that caption there. It's all about Blackburn. They're clear after the 3-2 win against Grimsby today, still with games in hand too. 4 goals in 5 games, enough to convince Phil Neal that Andy Walker has a future at Burnham Park. He shelled out 160,000 for his signature this afternoon. Walker in the lineup against Chester, but couldn't get a goal, neither could anyone else. Chester will be pleased with a point though. Bolton 0, Chester 0. Bury, Wigan and Stoke all away this afternoon, and Bury with arguably the performance of the day. Brentford 0, Bury 0. Roger Stanislaus, Kevin Hume and Ian Stevens. On the south coast, Brian Griffiths, last-minute winner, made it Exeter 0, Wigan 1, Wigan's first away win in the league. Stoke have won 6 in a row now, Orient 0, Stoke 1, Carl Beeston with his second in a week. But Preston continue to struggle at Deepdale. Today it was Preston 1, Fulham 2. Gary Brazil, the former Preston player, took only 15 minutes to remind the North End fans what he used to do for them. That was 1-0. A completely different goal though, 30 minutes later. Sean Farrell running at the defence, spotting the gap. That was 2-0. But North End came back in the second half. Neil Williams crossing from the right for on loan Lenny John Rose to score, but that was North End's third successive home defeat. The top of Division 3 though looks like this. Stoke have gone second with that win against Orient. Stockport drew with Huddersfield last night. They are 6th. Well, the North West game in Division 4 down at the racecourse. Blackpool looking to sustain their title challenge against the Wrexham side looking to turn FA Cup form into league form. Andy Garner got a penalty in the first half to set Blackpool on their way, but Wayne Phillips equalised with a real beauty. Wrexham 1, Blackpool 1. Here's Rob Palmer.
Double the normal league attendance behind bubbling Wrexham, though Blackpool took the lead. Dave Bamber tumbled under a challenge from Mel Pedgick. Pedgick's arm made contact, but how strong was the push? Andy Garner's explosive left foot put the Seasiders ahead. 2 Wrexham FA Cup heroes combined. First it was Steve Watkin, and then Wayne Phillips, who netted spectacularly against West Ham, this time a toe-ender. All square, Wrexham 1, Blackpool 1.
Blackpool missing out on a chance to close the gap at the top because Burnley have become used to front-running in Division 4. It can be a lonely feeling, and it's against sides like Lincoln. You have to pick up maximum points. They did it again. Just the 1 goal from Mike Conroy, his 20th of the season. Burnley 1, Lincoln 0. Here's Peter Hutton.
Bit of a surprise start for Burnley. Lincoln's Matt Carmichael nearly putting the 4th Division strugglers in front, and Lincoln looking the brighter of the two sides. But gradually Burnley's superior skills began to tell in a game that did become increasingly physical. This challenge from Paul Ward brought the frustrations of a niggling series of challenges to a head, and both sets of players were nearly involved in a confrontation. It was never going to be the goal feast the home fans seemed to expect, but Burnley did look the better side and deserved a simple winner. It came in the first half's injury time, John Francis making himself room, Mike Conroy in plenty of space. Conroy's 6th goal in 5 games for Burnley.
1 goal good enough? That's the way to do it, isn't it? Well, let's wrap up the other 4th Division games for you. Up at the Shea, it was Halifax 1, Rochdale 1. Andy Flounders with the goal. Clive Tilsey reporting.
Rochdale have been hanging in all season long. They fell behind to John McGrath's Halifax Town just before half-time today. Graham Cooper, the former Wrexham player, getting the goal. But Dale have put together a 2-month unbeaten run now, and 8 minutes into the second half they stretched that sequence to 7 games. Andy Milner making inroads, Andy Flounders making it 1-1.
Well, last night at Gresty Road, Crewe pushed themselves closer to the top. They beat Carlisle 2-1. Crewe are nothing if not inconsistent. There's something vaguely incongruous, though, about seeing Billy Whitehurst supplying deft touches for the touch players like Tony Naylor. His first or second touch usually ends up in the back of the net, 1-0. Carlisle equalised, but then Naylor went walkabout to set up a winner for his partner in crime, Craig Hignett. The club that's given us David Platt, Jeff Thomas, and recently Rob Jones has a few more nuggets still waiting to be uncovered. Right, let's take a look at the top of Division 4 now. Burnley still there, 5 points clear of Blackpool, who could only draw today. Rochdale just on the edge of that caption. They drew 1-1 at Halifax, and they are 8th.
Well, it's that time again. The Rumblers Cup semi-finals are with us again tomorrow at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest meets Spurs on the match. The semi-final first leg. Join Elton Welsby at 3:20. A quick look at the headlines for tonight. Oldham inflict only the second defeat of the season on Leeds at Boundary Park. Paul Bernard scores again, but Manchester United go back to the top despite drawing 1-1 with Sheffield Wednesday. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Granada Goals Extra was sponsored by Elf Petrels and Oils.